everybody. Welcome to Friday, the 13th day of our workshop. I wanted to say Friday the 13th, but it didn't make any sense. But yeah, nevertheless. So I have been receiving lots of new inquiries and new people joining in. So thank you so much. Welcome those who are joining in today. And we're going to jump into the emotion parts of our conversation and in this phase of our journaling. So if you are new to this journaling, don't feel overwhelmed. All you require to do is jump in and figure out. Hi Aishwarya, hi Kuldeep, hello everyone who is joining in now. Hi. So when we look at the new journaling process, I'm gonna, before we start and before we jump in and before we talk about the deeper parts of what we're gonna do today and what we're gonna discuss, let's review what the process looks like. First, we're gonna hear this video that I'm making. You're gonna go through the discussion and the turbulence and all the stirring up that I'm doing. You're gonna use that information and you're gonna get to journaling. Journaling has two parts. First one, you're gonna do the S stroke, the flow of thought stroke, for which you can receive a video which is already mentioned. It's actually, the video is everywhere, but if you register with us, which is aditisurana.com /right now, WRITE, right now, you will receive the entire resource for everything that we have been doing in last 13 days, and you can use that information and we can run with it. Okay, so what do we do? What would you do? You would start today, you would get to your journaling, you will watch this video, do the journaling and move on from here. If you have time, if you feel that you really wish to fix things as soon as possible, you can go back and pick any day in last 12 days and start doing one extra day along with your new day. So if you're doing day 13 and day 1, that's perfect. If you're doing day 13 and day 12 and you go in the reverse order, that's okay too. Every day is made independently. So you can try doing the sequence correct. So you watch the video, you do the S stroke practice, and then you get to the journaling of the question, which must be handwritten. Okay. So after reviewing it, hello everyone who has joined in now. Let's talk about what we're going to discuss today. So I have stirred the pot with yesterday's conversation where we spoke about right and wrong and moral and immoral and good and bad. And today we're going to speak about something which is slightly different, actually really different, and almost opposite of this right and wrong idea. We're going to speak about imperfection. We're going to speak about embracing things which are absolutely wrong about you, things that do not work about you at all, and how imperfection gets to us, what exactly do we do with it, and how that is one of the reasons, and our inability to deal with our own imperfection drives us crazy, gets us to feel absolutely useless and not worthy and all of that. Okay, so we'll get to that, but before I jump in there, let me speak about right and wrong slightly. Yesterday I received a few questions, and when we speak about something being right and something being wrong, there is one more area that opens up with it, which is, if I do not differentiate between right and wrong, how do I make decisions? You know, my right and wrong, or what you call conclusion, Aditi, how is it different from belief? What are we talking about here? So for anything to become your belief, it has to be repeated. It has to become your automatic system. So you repeat something so many times and in so many different ways that it completely becomes your second nature. That is what we call belief. Otherwise, they are preferences, they are thoughts, they are conclusions, but they are not beliefs. Beliefs are deep-rooted. Beliefs actually are larger ideas which stay with us. We do not jump in and jump off beliefs easily. Religion could be a belief. Being a vegetarian or non-vegetarian for the reasons of not killing other animals could be a belief, not as a taste. I'm talking about like philosophically. Now these are the beliefs. They take time to break, and they are way deep rooted than conclusions. Now, when you look at relationships or everyday problems, we don't fight with people with beliefs as much. Like, we do have beliefs and we disagree with people, and all of that is happening, and we addressed it in one of the questions. But when we speak about conclusions, they are small conclusions. This example, I couldn't think of any other example, but imagine, you remember in 90s when we were growing up, we used to get small stones, like white color stones in rice and black or brown color stone in wheat and other things. So we always got those small little stones, which allowed the guy to the vendor to sell you more stuff for lesser price. So that's how they kind of cheated you with weight. And I remember my mother used to get lots of stuff, like she used to fill 20 kgs of rice, and it was our job to sit with her and like clean everything. We used to hate it as kids, but yeah, nevertheless. So that particular idea, if you remember what I'm talking about, if you have ever faced it, then removing those small stones was really, really difficult. But imagine if somebody would have put like one large stone in it, one pebble, then you would have just removed it. It was easier to do that. So similarly, our irritation, which is on a daily basis with relationship with people, with things around us, comes from those small conclusions, which are everyday conclusions. How things must be done, how you should behave, what exactly I must do here in this situation, and how you should support me. So conclusions are small. Because they're small, they prick and you cannot see what has happened here. Okay, so that's why I needed to build belief first, so you saw the larger idea. And as you stepped 8, we spoke about conclusions and we went to right and wrong. So that's how we are slowly and steadily kind of killing things softly. So here we are talking about today's concept, which is about how do we then look at the correct way of doing things. Though there is no right, no wrong, fundamentally, there is always the most efficient way of doing things in the current scenario. What works for you right now might not work for you after 2 years, 5 years. What works for someone else might not work for you at all. But if you are constantly asking questions and figuring out what could be the best possible way of doing this, you might find the best possible way for you. But if you make that way as the right way, or if you fight with other people and say their ways are wrong ways, then you're stuck. So we are talking about being agile, changing things, and being responsive. Too many concepts, Aditi, slow down, just say one thing at a time. Okay. What I meant was being agile, which means I will respond to the situation. I will make choices based on what works for me the best. And when I do that, I don't have conclusions. I don't say I'm doing it because it is the right thing to do, and anybody who doesn't follow my way is doing it in a wrong manner. That's not the idea. I check out something and I say, this looks good on me. I like this style of doing it. This recipe worked for me. This style of functioning I really enjoy. And if tomorrow's that thing, the same idea, same recipe doesn't work, if you find something better, then you can be willing to drop what you know if you are less conclusive. Okay? So that to answer the question. Now let's talk about where the clarity comes from. When we speak about clarity, any form of clarity, the clarity comes from my ability to know and understand myself, my ability to accept myself for who and what I am. Now when we look at that, what I am trying to say here, I am trying to establish the whole idea of self-acceptance, which means accepting myself without labels, accepting myself without putting myself up or putting myself down. Now, imperfection is one of the causes where anxiety gets triggered, right? Imperfection comes because all of us are different, and the idea of everybody must agree with one thing and you must be perfect in a certain manner is a flawed idea. And now the generation is accepting a lot more than the previous generation, and the next generation that is coming, they don't even believe in the whole idea of perfection or striving for it, and they are so focused on finding their own expressions. But Having said that, whatever is a standard idea of the society in that given point in time, we tend to compare ourselves a lot, and we say yes to things we don't want to say yes to. We say no when we genuinely want to say yes. I'll give you an example. If somebody asks you to follow their lead and follow their method, you don't want to do it at times. But you don't want to disappoint the person, you want to be in their good books, you want to seek approval from them, whatever is the reason. But we don't say no when we want to say it. We want to say no and say, no, I don't want to try that out, I know what I want to do. But we don't say it because it's uncomfortable to say no and get into that socially awkward situation. Yeah, so we don't say no at that moment. We say no when we want to say yes, when you want to follow something that you're truly passionate about, something that you believe in, something that you know has worked for you, something that is sticking, and you're like, oh my god, I'm so clear, I want to do this. And a friend, your mother, your partner, somebody looks at you and say, oh, I don't think that would work. And then you get into this self-doubt. You're like, oh, what if it doesn't work? What if they're correct and I'm wrong? What if this, what if that? All of that happens, and instead of saying yes and jumping in because you had that moment of clarity, you wait it out and you say, no, I don't think I should be doing this. So let me repeat. We say yes so many times when we want to say no, and many a times we say no when we want to say yes. And when we do that, what are we doing? Brené Brown, if you have not read her her speeches, if you haven't read anything that she has done, you must figure it out. Her name is Brené Brown. She's on Netflix. She has a special. She speaks about vulnerability. She's a global thought leader in this conversation around vulnerability, shame, guilt, and how we dismiss ourselves completely. In one of the conversations, she said, so many times we do not choose discomfort, but we choose resentment. Now what does it mean? Like, we are okay being uncomfortable. If we are okay being uncomfortable, then we will say no to things we don't believe in, things we don't wish to do. If we are okay being uncomfortable, or if we can choose discomfort in the moment, then we will say yes in spite of other people's approval or disapproval, or what they think, what they do not think, whether they're going to follow us or not. We just do things because we know we're going to do it. But they are uncomfortable without anybody's support, anybody really pampering you or pushing you or clapping for you. So you say, okay, let me choose this comfort. And what happens then? When we go against our own authenticity, we become extremely resentful of these same people. We get into arguments and become stressful. We get into these fights and eventually become resentful to a degree that we cannot drop the coal. We cannot drop our angers. We cannot move on. Now, why all these things happen? Because in the first place, we had a choice to choose discomfort over resentment. But we did not. We thought pleasing the other person is an easier option. And we do it in so many ways. We choose to please them, believing that if I do that right now, if I please the other person right now, eventually they will see how great I am, and they will see how amazing I am, and they would never leave, they would always agree with me, and none of that happens. Right? All these ideas that we build on, not actualize it, not materialize. We literally stay stuck in only doing things which are comforting for other people. And if that is the case, it comes from fear of being rejected. It leads to self-consciousness. It leads to feeling not good enough. And there we cannot agree with our own self-worth and our own imperfections. Let me repeat this point. I'm saying that when we choose their comfort, which means only to make them feel comfortable in the moment, only to avoid the social awkwardness or personal awkwardness, we choose to remain comfortable, and we do not say what is true for us, what we authentically believe in. We just say things that are comforting in the moment, and eventually we become resentful. Now when we do that, when we become resentful towards other people, what happens? We hold the coal, we feel upset, we spoil lots of stuff for us more than spoiling it for anybody else. So when we are dealing with anxiety, I want you to look at that aspect. I want you to turn around and see how your anxiety is rooted in you choosing comfort. Comfort in the moment by not saying what you meant to say. And I'll come to that. Why don't we do that? And at the end of it, I'm going to speak about fact as an approach. And I will speak about it in today's call. But before we get there, the middle part of the story is imperfection. The very moment we drop our self-worth and we remain comfortable in our limitations, we also become conscious of our imperfections. So every small thing has to be perfect before I take that next step. Every small thing has to fall in place. All ducks have to be in a row for me to really move forward and say what I want to say. Take a stand the way I want to take a stand. And make so many choices which are truly not required in the manner we push ourselves to do things. So everywhere you are pushing your imperfections under the carpet so that nobody sees it, including yourself. Now what happens when you own it? Now I must say this, I am a dyslexic, and I struggled through my school years because I struggled to write more than anything else. Imagine, I make everybody write nowadays, but I genuinely struggle to write. I remember my handwriting used to be reversed or not perfect, and my father, who was an artist, struggled with me. He's like, oh my God, why can't you get this right? You know, so simple. And that time nobody had the concept of dyslexia. Now, if it were not for my moment of truth where I chanced upon graphology or handwriting analysis, which allows me to use my dyslexic mind in a channelized way, I don't know what I would have done. But when I found that, when I suddenly found this moment of realization where the same problem where I could not read on the lines because of my dyslexia allowed me to read between the lines, I could embrace it. But if it were not for this so-called superpower or secret power, I don't think I would have sustained this process, right? So the imperfection, the flaw can come up with some advantages, but I had to go through a lot of different choices and methods to accept it. Till the point graphology didn't happen, I wanted to hide. I knew every time my teacher asked me to come and write on the board, I shivered because I didn't know whether I would get it correct or not. So the same thing that is working against you can work to your benefit only when you accept the imperfection. So many times, because I know when it gets triggered, when my dyslexia is high, flaming, I am aware of it by now. So if I'm at a point where I'm supposed to address a crowd and speak with, at a forum, I tell people about my dyslexia. And I say I might fumble today because I'm in that, I'm feeling a little like that in my mind. So if you don't understand, please raise your hand and I will explain my point again. And you know what happens? It is magical what happens. People turn around and they become part of my team. So every time I fumble, I can just feel, instead of judging me, pushing me, people are like, oh, okay, were you trying to say that? The expressions are very, very supportive. They are not judgmental and trying to gauge me and figure out and why she is not getting it. They are part of my team. Now that can happen only and only when people are aware about your imperfections. And that can happen only when you are aware of your imperfections and when you can accept your imperfections and talk about it. Not necessarily talk about it publicly, but talk about it at least to yourself. Everywhere you're trying to hide your imperfection, everywhere you're trying to fix it and trying to be perfect in other people's ideas and trying to be something else that otherwise is not something that you would choose authentically, we require to look at it. It may sound like a jargon, but you know how uncomfortable we feel for that extra extra layer of fat that suddenly shows up, and you're like, oh my god, what I'm going to do, blah blah blah. So we literally struggle from that extra layer of fat to a pimple, to bad hair day, to poor skills to do something, to standing up to something that we believe in, to not speaking up when we require to so many other areas, right? So should we hold on to our ideas of imperfections and become really complacent? No, I don't mean that. But accepting yourself for everything that you are, and understanding your issues, understanding your struggles, and being okay with it is very important. The very moment you're okay with it, you start finding ways beyond all the imperfections. But if you're not okay with it, the whole fight is to resist it, to hide under the carpet, to not exhibit that part of you to anybody in the world. So I am slowly and steadily working on two concepts through this module. One you know by now, the flow. When we speak about flow, we literally tap into the energy where things move, you feel calmer, you feel more grounded, and that we are doing through multiple ways, through the stroke for sure, also through conversations and specific questions and concepts. So that is focusing on calmness. But there is other part of the story, and there is the concept of fact that I want to speak about, because by the end of this module I want to build the concept of fact very clear, so that when you think, when you get stuck, you can tap into it and use it as your tool to deal with the scenario. So what is fact? Fact is about being firm, being authentic, being calm, and being tactical. I'm going to repeat this. Fact is about being firm, being authentic, being calm, and being tactical. Now, when you're calm and when you're authentic, which means you know your truth. It might not be the right thing to do, wrong thing to do, but you know your truth and you're okay with that truth, then you're being more and more authentic. Now, what do I mean by being firm? When you are very, very clear, you can be firm in a very gentle manner. You don't have to always be brutally firm. If that is required, you can choose that. But if that is not required, you can be firm and you can be calm. You can be authentic, and you can, at the same time, you can use tactics to communicate with people. Now, all of this can happen only and only when you're fundamentally calm within. If you're hyper, if you are in doubt, if you feel that somebody has to approve your so-called existence, then this is not happening for sure. But when you are in touch with yourself, which we are doing through introspection, we are doing by making sure that you become an observer to your action, to your choices, to your thoughts. If you continue this journey of being an observer to your process, then you will reach a point where being firm will become easier and easier to you. So I repeat the point, I will speak about this again and again as we are building towards it. It's a concept called fact. Firm, authentic, calm, and tactical. Right? Now, what do I mean by tactical? Somebody asked me this question, that in one of my conversations I spoke about if you want to be firm at times, or if you want to state something and the other person is not getting it, raising your voice could be a tactic. But that doesn't mean you have to shout, and that doesn't mean you have to get upset and you have to get on your, you allow that person to get on your nerves. You need not do that. You can be calm, but you can use a tactic of raising your voice. So this person asked me, but every time I raise my voice, whether I'm feeling happy or unhappy, I start crying. I have tears in my eyes and I don't know what happens. That only means that you haven't used that new skill of how to raise your voice, or how to scream, or how to be very, very firm with that strong voice. And that skill has to be mastered, learned. My sister is an actor, and when she speaks, her voice has variations that I cannot imagine reaching. Now when she wants to be loud, because she has also done theater, so her voice can really reach out to a distance. And if I scream, my voice it screeches. So if I understand that my sister has practiced, mastered a skill of raising her voice to figure that, character of an angry person, she figured it out. If you think you have to raise your voice without being angry, just a tactic, just a skill, and that will only require some practice and some training. For that, you don't have to boil your blood, you don't have to be this upset person and go through all these issues, right? So over to you guys. Today's question before over to you, I have to ask you today's question. What all imperfections are you trying to push under the carpet right now? What all imperfections are you trying to push under the carpet right now? And that could mean anything. You might feel I'm imperfect because of my appearance, because of my financial status, because of the way I speak, because of the way where I come from. It could be anything. You can put as many points as you want in this question, and you can choose your categories. All you require to do is you have to understand that in all these categories, we are talking about your sense of feeling imperfect. If people think you're imperfect and you're okay with it, that is not imperfection. They may think anything that they want to, but we are talking about you feeling imperfect and something that weighs you down, something that makes you feel, oh my God, I have to fix myself because I am not good enough. I must say this, a large part of my work with handwriting is about understanding people and also letting them understand themselves, which means people have to look at different parts of who they are and at a larger level accept everything about them before they start changing it. We focus so much on changing things and fixing things and being something else, achieving the goals by breaking our limitations. Great, we must do that, because moving forward from where we are and not getting stuck and not being complacent is a great idea. But again, doing that from a space of feeling inadequate, feeling that you're not worthy, feeling that you require to have some achievements and accolades to be that before you can even make a request is not acceptable. And if you are stuck in that zone, and if you want to grow, and if you want to move forward, and if you want to achieve more, because the motive underneath that is fear, is fear of losing, fear of missing out, then there is a problem. Then we are not necessarily building a nurturing process. We are not necessarily building a platform where we can grow and move forward to achieve more in a long run. That's why we see people feeling so exhausted. I have spoken to so many people in last 20 days where people are questioning their professional choices. They're like, oh my God, why do I run so much on a daily basis? Why do I even do this? Like, I know things don't make me happy, these things are not working, I'm spending my life at something that I don't believe in or I don't agree. Now you reach this point, for so many people they reach this point of no return, because by the time they reach there, it's too late for them to make these choices. They're already servicing loans, they're already too responsible, they're already feeling trapped by all the commitments. So guys, if you're not at that point and if you still have a choice to find out what are the motives behind all the actions that you do, and accept yourself for everything that you are and change whatever required, but fundamentally accept everything that you are, I think we will really grow deeper, grow wider in our understanding of ourselves. Okay, now I want to thank you guys. Like, I feel it many a times it sounds that when I am doing this work and I am answering these questions and I'm saying certain things or whatever initiative that we have taken, it feels as if only we are doing this great service and all of that, almost making you feel that you're receiving and I am giving. But I don't agree with that. I feel it is our journey together, and I'm not saying this with any wanting to be correct. I genuinely mean it. I feel that it's a privilege for me to be here and uh, to contribute so deeply and so meaningfully in your journeys. And one, you are willing to look at yourself. Secondly, you could have chosen to look at yourself through so many resources. You are giving me a chance, you're trusting for me to intervene and make these points or say something. I do look at it as a privilege. So thank you so much for opening the doors and for taking this journey. I know while journaling at times moments become very, very difficult and you wonder why you're going through this churn, and it is not comfortable, it's not comforting. But as I said, as I quoted Brene Brown, where she says, I will choose discomfort over resentment. I would choose discomfort over so many shortcuts where I'm just going to fix problems for other people to feel good about me. Now, when you walk closer to that space, it demands questioning and it demands making severe choices. So here we are making those choices, and thank you so much for this privilege. Over to you guys. If you have questions, let's quickly take that and write whatever you want to ask. We can talk about this topic. Let me see if anybody has already asked any questions. Hello. I don't see questions, so if you have any questions, I'm gonna wait for a minute. And there we are. Wabi Sabi, oh my god, thank you so much, Pamela. I love this concept, Wabi Sabi, where imperfection is considered beautiful. And she's talking about a beautiful book by Kempton. Okay. And yeah, it is so true. And every time we choose imperfection, and if we, I always call this, in one of my talks I spoke about this is a power of broken pieces. Most of the time when things are broken, we want to hide, we want to throw them, we don't want to use it. But every scar, every mark, like a battle scar that we can wear of the learnings, of the journeys, of the choices that we have made. So if we wouldn't have made those choices, this wouldn't have happened, and things would have been very, very different. So if you're here, no matter how broken your journey looks to you right now, when you turn back and if you say, I am still here and I accept myself for who I am, and I'm going to make changes to be as authentic and as strong as I can, you're already making a huge leap. Very, very few people can make that leap, and if you are one of them and if you're willing to do that, guys, we are already moving forward. Hey, I clicked the question and sent it. I'm not sure where did it get sent? Okay, that's the question. Okay, when you say pushing under the carpet, do you mean addressing it or by being bothered by it? Not addressing it and being bothered by it, both. So if you push something under the carpet, that emotion is still active and you're not willing to look at it, you want to hide it, you want to make sure that you don't want nobody looks at that as a problem. But that doesn't mean that you can just withdraw. That just means that you have the issue and you're not willing to solve it. I mean that. Anuja says, moment. Let me see if this works. There is is the idea of directive journaling to write the problem and unfold as we unfold each day, or towards the end of 10-15 minutes come up with more conclusion decision? I don't understand this question clearly, Anuja. You might have to rephrase the question, but right now, because we are in the middle of it and also I am doing a lot of hand holding in the process, I'm asking a question where you feel uncomfortable and we are moving forward with by asking different questions every day. At the end of this process, I will give you a question bank that you can ask on a regular basis. Those questions are not this introspective, but they would be more driven by reviewing and observing things. For example, yesterday I was doing an Insta live with Meenakshi Iyer, and she asked me, I used to do a gratitude journal, and after a point I could not think of any questions to answer, any point where I felt grateful. So I said, okay, instead of only thinking about gratitude, what if you ask questions which are like, what one human connection I'm grateful for today? Or what if you ask a question that, where exactly did I what was a small thing that I did today that I'm grateful for? So when the very moment you make your journaling question based and directive, you start sifting through information much faster. Instead of just saying things and doing things, you become more receptive to the experiences that you have gone through. That is directive journaling. I don't understand the second part of your question. Nora saying, when you accept imperfections yourself, but people around you think you're arrogant in that behavior, what should you do? Now, when people think you're arrogant in your behavior, they're also referring to you being conclusive. If you say, I'm like this and I'm not going to even hear you, and it doesn't matter what you think, and I'm going to resist, and if that is true for you, I would say then let's look at it, because we want to be open, at the same time clear. So if I'm arrogant because I'm like that only, I'm not going to listen to you, then there is a problem. But if you are not that, and if people still feel you're arrogant, people can feel anything and they are allowed to have opinions, and let them have one. Well, how does it matter? If you get affected by it, then darling, you have a trigger that we have to look at. But if you don't get affected by it and you say, hey, these people think I'm arrogant, but this is, I am imperfect in this manner, then there is no problem. I don't think then changing yourself constantly would be a great idea. But you are a better judge of the situation. Are you open to receive the information, or you're blocked and you're conclusive about it? That would be the question that I would ask myself if I were in your situation. Okay, do we have any other question? No. Okay, so here we are on day 13, and thank you guys for walking this journey. Those who are new, welcome. Enjoy the process today. Day 1, not bad. So we're going to speak about today's conversation, today's discussion, and explore further in journaling as you go about it. So after this, whenever you get a moment, get to your S-stroke practice, which is your flow of thoughts therapy, graphotherapy. And then second part of it is you will answer this question. If you have more questions on this topic and everything that we have been speaking about, then send me on Insta DM, and I will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Bye-bye.